Thor here, and today I have a bone to pick. I am going to open up a nasty can of worms. For reference, I do not like making videos talking about social issues, and very few of my videos are about them. But I think it is time I addressed a big one that is not only negatively affecting my community, but in all honesty, me personally. I'm going to say this next part because from experience, when I have done videos like this in the past, I have been called every nasty thing under the sun, and I have been threatened many times. So for all the anger addicts, outrage mob, misery seekers, poop flingers, trolls, keyboard warriors, and know-it-alls, I know you are chomping at the bit, but before you tell me how it is, let me tell you how it is. I am here. You are not. I live right next to Lake Powell and report on Lake Powell almost every single day. Not a moment of my life goes by where I am not collecting information about Lake Powell, learning everything I can, and trying to share it with the public. If you intend to be negative and tell me how it is, or how it will be, trust me, I will not give you the time of day. You will get zero gratification from me. For everyone else with half a brain, or who is wondering if Lake Powell is worth visiting or still a great place and are seeking a real and valid information about the lake, you have come to the right place. To start out with, I will state the absolute obvious. Lake Powell is not dry. I'm sure a lot of you folks just rolled your eyes and are thinking, obviously it's not dry. Nobody thinks this. I know this sounds silly, but I'm going to tell all of you that multiple times a week I am confronted by real people face to face who literally have told me they thought that Lake Powell was gone and dried up. I get numerous people who, when I bring up the subject of Lake Powell, they look me dead in the eyes and tell me with a straight face, "What lake? I thought it was dry." They are shocked, and I mean legitimately shocked, when I tell them the contrary. When I tell them that the lake is still well over 150 miles big. We have open boat launches and more pristine sandy beaches than anywhere I have ever seen in the world on a lake. And we have more coastline here than most coastal states have on the ocean, including California. We also have the best canyons to go and explore. You know, the interesting stuff. They are even more shocked when I tell them the lake is still almost 400 feet deep in the main channel. And before the know-it-alls fire off about exactly how deep it is, there are places deeper than 400 feet in Lake Powell right now. These crazy beliefs are damaging our local economy and scaring people away from Lake Powell, and it has a lot to do with the coverage, or to be more precise, the headlines about Lake Powell. Even a preliminary Google search will show that people are asking questions like, is Lake Powell disappearing? Is Lake Powell still worth visiting? Is it safe to go to Lake Powell? Why are they draining Lake Powell? I really don't like it when people say they. Anyway, I digress. One of the very first news articles is a scare tactic headline and picture. I'm not saying the articles themselves don't show the water or explain what is going on, but what I am saying is the headlines imply there isn't any water. And when people use words like, why are they draining Lake Powell, there's obviously a high level of anxiety and fear because of all of this. Speaking of scare tactic headlines, there's no shortage of op-eds from news companies and YouTubers writing scary headlines about Lake Powell. And what's worse is literally our mayor has noticed this and is trying to tell people that Lake Powell is not drying up. Just about everyone who lives around Lake Powell has noticed that people are putting false information out there that Lake Powell is drying up, and that is absolutely not true. Mass media like this one are destroying tourism for Lake Powell by creating false headlines like this.
Just a couple years ago, this part of Lake Powell was pretty enough to put in the brochure. But today, there is no water, only sand. Can't paddle around Lone Rock anymore.
Articles and headlines like this are absolutely destroying the local economy for the people who live around Lake Powell, literally taking the bread off of families' tables. Every business has noticed the massive impact these headlines have had on their revenue. I need to note that for a lot of people, the headline is as far as they get. Sadly, that is the reality of the world we live in. Lake Powell is low, I'm not denying that, but we still have a massive lake that is perfect for recreational use. We have open water, large canyons, small canyons, beaches, coves, and interesting artifacts to visit like surfaced boats. The low water has even exposed some of the most beautiful landmarks that Glen Canyon has, like Gregory's Arch and Cathedral in the Desert. And for those wondering, Cathedral in the Desert is considered the gem of all of Glen Canyon. This place is an absolute paradise for recreational use. A lot of boaters worry about all the navigation hazards and for some reason think Lake Powell has more now than it did before, and that is literally not true. The amount of navigation hazards has technically shrunk, and in all earnest, Lake Powell's navigation hazards haven't really changed all that much in difficulty. Common sense and a basic understanding of how to navigate a boat works well for the overwhelming majority of people, and furthermore, for those who are worried about the new navigation hazards, Lake Powell has always had new navigation hazards. I call this the Lake of a Million Lakes because as the water descends and ascends, the whole lake changes, including the navigation hazards. Hundreds of boats, including large houseboats, navigate Lake Powell almost every day without incident. Lake Powell's navigation hazards are nothing to be afraid of if you intend to drive a vessel with an ounce of common sense. Literally hundreds of people have come to Lake Powell this year and driven a boat for their very first time, ignorant and oblivious of what to expect, and they were fine. I see rentals out and about all the time. If anything, I worry more about the wind in Lake Powell than navigation hazards. If you are on the fence about visiting Lake Powell, get your butts out here. I cannot emphasize this enough. Lake Powell is an absolute paradise. Trust me when I tell you that for the overwhelming majority of people who come to Lake Powell, the worst part about Lake Powell is having to leave. In almost all of these clips I have shown you, Lake Powell was at its absolute lowest this year. And as you can see, there's still a ton of water. In fact, there's so much water I can't actually afford to drive my own boat across this lake. That is how much water there is here. Recently, the water level has raised by about 10 feet, and Lake Powell is expected to raise even more. If you want to see more about Lake Powell, check out my channel or find me on Facebook. I'm also on Twitter, Instagram, and more. All of my links are in the description. Feel free to check them out. And again, for anyone who just wants to be an absolute jerk and negative to me because you don't like what I just showed you, I will not give you the time of day. There is no victory in confrontation, and I learned long ago that you get nowhere by arguing. So if you must be negative, make your comment and then make your peace because you will not get a response. You are not worth my time. And if you have something interesting or positive to contribute, I would love to see what you have to say. If you liked this video, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you like decent information about Lake Powell, exploration, and boating, you probably want to hit that subscribe button. So without taking any more of your time, this is Thor, signing out.